Hey guys, Youngblood with you with another 3.2 video, this time covering another new ship in the verse, this time the Vanduul Blade. This is the light fighter from the Vanduul. If you remember seeing the work that was being done on it, it almost gave the impression that this ship was going to be a little bit thick and chunky. You can tell by the design here that it is very much still a sleek and interesting ship. It's got some angry engines on it. You got some little spikes that come off the top that almost look like antennas in a way. It's still got the very, edgy design. But from the front here, I mean, you can really get a pretty good understanding of how thin this ship is and how challenging it's going to be to hit from a head-on battle. Even though it's got a relatively wide wingspan, it's still going to be an interesting one to deal with. So as far as the ship is concerned, it flies pretty well. It's got some interesting, and I wanted to fold it up real quick before I get too far. So this is with the landing gear down. You can see there's these circles that are on the top. It's almost like a pivot point, and that's when this thing folds in. Now, where I would be interested to see is if there's a way that you can actually fly in this formation as opposed to only when you have your landing gear down, but ultimately we don't really know. So let me go ahead and put the landing gear back up. It will fly around a little bit. But first things first, I mean, when you're looking out this ship, you notice there is a lot of restricted view, right? I mean, each one of these posts is very thick, so your head-on view is going to be pretty obstructed. You don't get a lot of vertical view because of this large crossbar here. There's this window up here, but how often is that really going to be useful for you, right? Like, you're not really going to be looking that direction very often. Off the sides is pretty good. You got some nice visibility there. If you really need to look over your shoulders, you do have some visibility. But overall, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in your way. Now, you do have the nice alien piping down here. It almost looks like it's alive, which is kind of cool. It almost reminds me of something from Farscape. But view aside, it's not terrible, but it's not great. Now, as far as the speed is concerned, this is a ship that really has some pretty good stuff going for it. The top speed's 290 meters per second. You see, I accelerated to that almost instantly, and I wasn't even using boost. Now, the top speed overall on this thing is incredibly fast. I'll go ahead and boost up to it. But it gets up to about 1,240 meters per second, if I remember correctly. Let me go ahead and whoop. Here we go. There's 800. There's 900. Oh boy. Might have to go through a respawn here. Whoop. Hey, there you go. Deceleration and acceleration worked to save my ass there. So that was actually a pretty good use case. Take my word for it, the top speed's about 1,240 meters per second. Now, when we start talking about agility, I mean, this thing rolls very quickly. It pitches pretty quickly, and yaw is pretty good as well. The roll is the probably the strongest responsiveness that I've felt on this ship as far as which axis it turns the well on. But when you start talking about like a roll and a pitch combination, I mean, the ship turns around in no time at all. Now, the good news is I haven't really experienced myself blacking out very much, so it hasn't been a real concern. The acceleration is off the charts. I mean, right there, that's top speed. I mean, just absurdly fast. As far as the weapons are concerned, you've got a couple size 2 laser cannons that are actually on gimbals, which means you could technically run fixed size 3 weapons on this. You also have 2 size 2 plasma cannons that are fixed, so you cannot increase the size on those. So out of the box, you have 4 size 2 weapons, which is pretty good. When you consider that the Saber has 4 size 3s, and this could technically have 2 size 3s and 2 size 2s, it's a pretty fearsome little ship. Now, I haven't done a lot of combat with it yet. We haven't been able to do much of that in Evocati, to be frank. I'm going to test all of these out and do follow-up videos on like combat effectiveness for you. But just initial review, I like the armament that it's got. In addition to that, while they are size 1, it has 8 missiles on board, which is a pretty decent amount, especially on a ship of this size. So you have some options as far as that type of combat as well. You can see the gimbal weapons kind of moving around right there. And then the only other thing that I've had some beef with, and it's been improved a little bit over the patches, has been the amount of fuel that it has. It's got, and I say beef, it makes sense for a light short-range fighter, but it doesn't carry a lot of fuel. So when you start, really hitting the afterburner and getting after it, you start getting into situations where you really notice your fuel declining very quickly. It's almost like about one time from going from 0 meters per second up to, top speed at cruise speed, you end up being down, 3 to 4% of your fuel tank. That's pretty significant for a ship of this size. But again, it's been tweaked a few times already, and I think it's getting to a better place, but it does collect fuel at a pretty acceptable rate too. So as far as what to expect out of the Blade, I mean, it's a small, nimble, very fast ship. As far as racing is concerned, I think it'll be fine. The width has me a little bit worried just based on the design. As far as the flight model, it is a blast to fly. It responds exactly the way you'd want it to. It's not all that far off from something like an M50. It's just a lot more foreign and a lot more funky. And then as far as just kind of a get-around ship, if you're not really needing to do any cargo or anything, even if you're not looking to do combat, I mean, it's an interesting ship just to take you from point A to point B and have a little bit of fun in a, you know, different type of ship that you wouldn't normally be in. So that's the Blade. If you guys have questions on it, let me know. Like I said, I will do more combat testing and stuff and make sure that I'm getting you some good, you know, some good feedback on that for all of the new ships. But if you have anything in the meantime you want to know more information on, please let me know. Otherwise, stay tuned for more. We got Hurricane coming, we got Eclipse coming, and a few other videos planned for 3.2. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. Have a great day. Take care.